Hello.
And lovely to meet you in person.
Thank you, Sami. Lovely to meet you as well.
Absolutely. I came across your profile on LinkedIn. That's how I kind of got to know you. And I think, the aim of this podcast, the aim of this show is really to showcase the fantastic work of people like yourself, entrepreneurs who are really making waves out there.
Thank you.
So that's why I wanted you to be here. And as I've said to you before this, this is all about you and about showcasing your story, really. So I'd love to give an intro, but I think you can probably do a much better job of that. Anna, please tell us a bit about yourself.
Thank you very much, Sami. Very flattering. I'll just start off. We'll look at who Anam is at the current moment, right? So I am an entrepreneur. I am one of the founding partners of The Hanging House. We are an experiential agency, and what we create are brand experiences. We bring the brand's essence to life, leverage technology to do that. That's a big part of who I am today. I apart from obviously the day-to-day of running the business, I also had creative there. I enjoy what I do very much. Right. I've always been this kind of person that has had many interests growing up. Right. So we've really gone from wanting to be an astronaut to a pilot to an architect to
I can attest to that.
Yes. So we've really covered all of those grounds, and I've always wanted to get my hands dirty in like different aspects of things, and I think there's just this curiosity that my current role allows me to actually indulge in, right? We work with a wide variety of brands, so from healthcare to like kids brands to apparel, lifestyle. There's always something new in the studio, and as head of creative, I obviously get to really dig deep into what the brand is about and do a lot of research. I never thought I'd be researching satellites, but we have, right?
Have you got any vacancies going?
So that's me. That's a little bit about what I do and what really keeps me going. What I enjoy doing. There's more to me than just me at work. However, that's that from a LinkedIn point of view.
Absolutely. I couldn't relate and agree more. I think you've definitely exceeded me in that sense, in that you've started something and it's been successful, right? I started a bunch of different things prior to what I'm doing now, which is successful. But before that, I've sold shoes, I've sold X, I've sold Y. So I can relate to also that. Maybe not selling bleach, but I used to sell tickets. I used to do a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
But anyway, coming back to that. So that's where that journey started. You took that leap. Did you have anyone with you who you could say, you know what, let's do this together? Or how did that kind of pan out?
Right. So I was very lucky enough to have come across, when we were at the institute we were studying in, there's a gentleman called Hussam who now happens to be my business partner. Who we never really got along, let's put it that way, before, right? And there's constant fights. So there's this one person who, if I knew that there's going to be one person that's going to disagree with what I'm saying, it's going to be this guy.
Hassan.
It's going to be Hassan.
That's such an interesting dynamic. Okay, I'm curious now.
Right? But then towards the end of the year, we're thrown together into a little group group assignment.
Forced
and we have to work it out.
Yeah.
We have to work it out. But, funny, obviously there was a friendship that grew, and, we realized that our differences were our strengths, kind of, because we complemented each other in that way, right? Different perspectives coming together to look at the same thing. He's thinking of things I'm not thinking about. I'm thinking of things he's not thinking about. And that just helped kind of form this holistic sort of picture. He was actually a banker. Funny enough, yeah.
Okay.
So obviously the whole mathematical aspect of the
got
finance,
logical,
yes, very, very logical. The math, the finance, all of that, I wouldn't say are my key areas of interest. However,
that's where he comes in,
that's
right?
where he comes in.
That's where he comes in.
That's where he comes in. And so I mean, as friends, we'd work together in multiple places and things like that. And we said, you know what, I think this is it. And I just happened to be sharing with him that, like, this is what I have in mind, and this is what I'd like to do, and so on and so forth. And that was just a conversation.
Super fascinating, and I'm lovely to kind of learn about you, your story, and we should do this again, 100%.
100%. Lovely chatting with you. Thank you for making this as enjoyable as it has been.
Likewise. Thank you, Greg.
Sami.
Good to have you here, man.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Listen, thank you for making it here, especially on a weekend, especially on a Sunday. Dubai definitely seems to be relaxing today. You're a tech entrepreneur. Came across what you're doing. I thought it's really cool. Never come across anything like it before. You understand? So I thought, listen, I need to get Craig here. I need to have a conversation with him. You're building an application. It's been running for a little while now, and it seems to have gotten a lot of traction. But I'm not going to ruin that for people. I'd love for you just to kind of tell us a bit more about yourself, especially what you're doing just now, and then we'll kind of go into a bit more detail later on.
Yeah, for sure. So we're actually very, very different. Like, Lock and Stock is not your typical startup. Here in Dubai, startup scene is rather nascent. It's not like New York, Hong Kong, London, whatever. The startup scene in Dubai is rather young per se. But in Dubai, even with startups, most startups are based in Media City or JBR or Ranches or whatever. There are no startups from old Dubai. From where I come from, I was born in Dubai, raised in Dubai, spent my entire life here. And from that side of town, Bar Dubai, Karama, Sharjah, Gisas, there are no startups. What we did, I think, was special in that regard. I think that Kareem, a couple of years ago, when Kareem launched and really exited at $3 billion, first unicorn in the Middle East.
$3 billion.
Yeah, $3 billion. First unicorn in the Middle East. Kareem set the stage for startups in the Middle East. They proved that this is possible, literally. And I think that, we have an opportunity. We're not there yet, but I think we have an opportunity to be that for young, smart, ambitious, talented people from that side of town. Let me tell you more about myself, right? So I was born in Dubai, part of, I guess, the first generation of expats to really grow up in this city. I mean, the entire city is full of expatriates, but people come here to work. I was born here. My parents moved here in the early 90s for work, like many, many other people from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, whatever. I grew up in Sharjah in a very, very, very lower middle class upbringing.
Right.
I remember like a couple of years ago, I was overseas and I told people I'm from Dubai, and their first question is, how many oil fields does your family own? Or do you drive a Lamborghini? Because that's the perception of Dubai, this city of the super rich with like...
Even back then?
This was a couple of years back, like in 2016, 2017.
Okay.
The city of the super rich with these tall skyscrapers, whatever, everybody's just loaded with cash. I grew up in an apartment that cost us 6,000 dirhams a year in rent. And that's low in India. So you can only imagine how low that is here in the UAE. My dad was a salesman. My mom was a secretary. And that's how I came up. Literally, it's a very, very un-Dubai story.
People genuinely, from my experience, want to give back. They want to help communities. They want to, sponsor a child and all that kind of thing. But a lot of the time, it's, I have to go out, I have to give money, I have to do this, I have to do that. Whereas you guys are making it so simple. It's literally win-win-win for everyone.
You don't have to do anything. Stay off your phone, collect your rewards, and do that. And we've sponsored through the application in the last 6 months or 7 months or so, we've sponsored over 4,000 days of school for underprivileged children in rural India. And we as a team are very, very proud of that.
4,000 days.
4,000 days of school.
Roughly how many
so basically
children does that turn into?
So we actually just calculated on a class level, right? So 8 classes in a typical school day. So number of classes divided by 8, that gives us number of days. Divided by 365, that gives us number of years. And we just crossed 4,000 days of school sponsored.
People who seem genuinely invested and their emotion was in the application.
Yeah. I mean, people for whom like this is not just a job. Right. Yes. So people have stock options. People get salaries, of course. Like they need a living salary. But at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, when the going gets tough, what drives them If they're driven purely by monetary incentives or whatever, then it's just not going to work. Right? It's just not going to work. Do they really care about the mission? Right? When I look into their eyes, do they really care about the mission? Do they love what we're building here at Lock and Stock? And if they do, let's get to work. And that's how we built the team.
That's powerful, man. That's powerful. I think there's so much there that anyone listening into this who's building a business or has got the business running is thinking, you know what, how can I take this thing to the next level? A lot of what you've said there, just around team building alone, getting people invested and having a look at their behaviors as opposed to just their skill sets. You understand? These are things that I've had to learn the kind of the hard way, let's say. But listen, Craig, absolute pleasure. Where can people find you?
Find me on LinkedIn. I am not on any other social media because digital addiction, but find me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. Hit me up, Craig Fernandez.
Fantastic.
And yeah.
Application up on the App Store, Play Store.
It's on the App Store, on the Play Store, Lock and Stock. Our website is lockandstock.app, app. But otherwise, just hit me up. My email address is craig@lockandstock.app as well. I love hearing from people, whether you use the application or not. I love hearing from people. Hit me up, craig@lockandstock.app.
Pleasure having you, buddy.
Thank you so much, Sami. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you
to
very
the
much.
Show. A fellow recruiter.
Yes, a rare breed we are.
It's a rare breed. You were just telling me about the dark arts of what we do.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's a dark art or a skill. I'd like to think it's a skill rather than a dark art.
Don't tell them that, David. It's a dark art. It's a dark art. Okay,
Yeah.
David, thank you so much for making it. You're a way more experienced recruiter than I am. You've been in the game for couple of decades now.
Yeah, oh, don't say that. It makes me sound really... Yeah, 30 years.
30 years.
Joined Michael Page when I was 20.
Right.
And I'm now 54.
Right. You don't look at
Thank you.
a single bit.
I was just fishing for that.
Well, listen, you've just literally ran an ultra marathon.
I have.
Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, really short story. I'm a triathlete by sort of trade, and it keeps my mind away from work to a degree because I work so hard. And I've just been to Aula, which is in Saudi Arabia. It's the northern part of Saudi Arabia.
Right.
Beautiful, stunning. It's like Nevada. And I just did a 48k ultra marathon, and I'm tired, Sami. Really tired.
You don't look tired. I met you out there. You're good to go. You look like you could run another marathon.
I've got to run one soon, actually.
You need to.
But yeah.
Do you ever stop, David?
No, actually, oddly enough, I don't. That's probably what keeps me going, if that makes sense.
It
so
does.
I'm a recruiter, and I always will be a recruiter. I happen to run a company, and that's actually not my favourite part of the job.
Right.
My favourite part is recruiting and meeting people, and I think that gives me the buzz.
Right.
And my wife said to me the other day, "When are you going to retire?" And I just said, "Never. What am I going to do?" And so I use triathlons and I use sport as a way of release. And for me, I spent the weekend with 4 friends, none of them are in recruitment, and we just decompressed and ran. When you're running for 7.5 hours through the desert, you don't think about an awful lot. You just switch off and just go with it. And it's a very good way of just creating a bit of calm in your mind.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I see it now, and I've been recruited before.
Yeah.
I've hired female recruiters, and I see it. They, in my experience anyway, women just tend to have there's a level of connection that they can have with a candidate, which a lot of the guys that I've maybe worked with, it perhaps doesn't exist to the same extent, right?
Yep.
So I can see, especially in recruitment and sales, that can be really beneficial. So you went to Monster.
Yep.
What happened after that?
Oh, Monster was great. I got recruited in they paid me a lot of money, money. And then they put me on a plane for 5 days a week for 4 years and basically ground me into the dirt. But I loved it. Monster was an amazing brand. It was the beginning of the .com.
Right.
We could do anything. I mean, literally, we could do anything. We had this massive hot air balloon that was 120 feet high, and used to fly it around to different campuses and stuff. It was just madness.
Crazy.
But Monster worked really well. It was taking away from what Michael Page and all the other recruitment companies were doing.
Right.
And they had to buy us, and it was great. But then it sort of missed the beat. I left in 2004 to set my own business up. And I got fed up because I was traveling all the time, never saw my kids. And I remember in a apocryphal moment, I was in my bedroom in Richmond holding my son, and a plane went past, and he pointed and went, "Daddy." And I was like,
you should be in there.
I was like, oh God, no. Who does he think I am?
A pilot.
Yeah, exactly. So I sort of got to the point where Monster, it was all everything, and they paid me so well. They treated me really well, and you know, at the end they were a superb employer. But I had to go and do my own thing. I had that wanderlust to set my own business up and to spend more time with my family.
Right, and that takes time. That's because you know the candidate, and you know the client. You can put the two together. David, pleasure having you. We'll need to go for a mini triathlon. maybe a third of it, just the swim
or round the park.
Just round the park.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure having you.
Excellent.
Mahdi, pleasure to have you here, buddy.
Same here. Good to be here.
We're just talking about Saudi there. You're saying it's really where the action is, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Tell us a bit more about that.
Easier people to work with, more money, faster payments. Why not? Let's do it.
I'm packing straight after this.
I think the next place we should be is Saudi. Yeah, definitely, because it's blowing up.
Why do you think that is?
Because of the vision that they have for 2030. That's the first one. And also, they just want to grow fast, big, and they're doing everything. And the population of Saudi is 10 times, I think, more than what UAE has today. So more people, more businesses, more demand, and more money. So it's just
crazy.
Common sense. You know, just
as I was saying to you, you're not the first person that's told me this, and it seems like it spans across industries.
Every single industry. I have friends who have shut down their chain of F&B outlets, shut down in the UAE, and they have all moved their headquarters to Saudi Arabia. And now they're just scattering all over the place.
Really?
Yeah.
Is there a particular place in Saudi?
I think Riyadh is number one.
Is number one. How do you manage working with, I don't want to kind of label all young people, but Gen Zs, right? How do you manage people like that?
I have to adapt to them. I have to laugh with them. I have to crack jokes that they would like.
Right.
So
you need to know about your fortnights and all this stuff, huh?
That also, but also there's a saying, they go like, you can always make someone that's young happy with a box of pizza and a bottle of JD. You know, like for me, it's like
JD. I like that.
They would like that way more than a paycheck of 15 grand.
Yeah.
Because they don't. You know what I've realized?
What?
They don't know how to spend it.
Right.
They don't have management over their money.
Right.
And they're young. They want to have a good time.
Yeah.
Now, not that they shouldn't get paid. Yes, they should. Of course, everyone should get paid. But I've noticed, and this is from conversations sometimes I have with the young people that work, is like, what do you want? Do you want a 20 grand paycheck today? Do you want this much salary? He's like, no, bro. I'm like, what do you want? He's like, what's the party this weekend?
Okay.
Where should I? So, you know, like, because that's what they want,
that's
right?
What they want.
They're breaking out of this kind of reality that they have in the digital world, wanting to come into the real life world, and they need someone to go to and have a conversation and chat with. 100%.
And I think a lot of people are realizing the latter thing that you said in terms of brand and kind of bringing your personality into it with personal branding. How important, I know you kind of touched on it there, but how important is personal branding nowadays for business?
It's you build off of yourself and then you sell after you have a fan base or a follower base or some people. So if I build a follower base of 100,000 people, usually 1% to 5% are the people that will be influenced by my
1 to 5%.
1 to 5% is usually, unless you are really loved, and it's a bit higher.
Got you.
So if I want to build if I build that personal brand, it will reflect onto my actual brand, which will make me money. I'm not doing what I'm doing on my social media platforms to be an influencer, so tomorrow I can charge a brand to come. I'm doing it because one of the things I could tell you is I don't have to pay an HR outsourced company for recruitments for my company.
Right.
I create one TikTok video and
you're good to
I
go.
can give the HR company a few hundred CVs as well. I don't mind, right? So
you can help them out.
I don't mind. So, but it's taken me years to develop that base. So when I put out a piece of content, it goes viral and gets 500,000 reach.
Sure.
And that adds value to my company because I'm saving X amount of dirhams a year in recruitment that I have to outsource and pay out.
Sure.
whatever, one of the ways.
Mahdi, thanks for making it down. We'll definitely need to do a part 2.
Yeah, definitely. Pleasure.
Leo, welcome to the Winners Show. How was your journey here?
Thank you very much for the invitation. I really enjoyed to be here in Dubai in your studio to give some experience about my previous life in a lot of countries. So thank you very much for the invitation.
No, listen, thank you for making it here. I think you've got some really interesting experience. There's definitely a correlation there. I did a little bit of finance, nowhere near as much as you've done. I was at Morgan Stanley for a little while, and I thought maybe I could learn a thing or two about making deals from Leo. But listen, let's take it back from the beginning. I know you've kind of touched on so many different areas within finance. Tell us about, I suppose, your beginnings, right? Yeah. Coming from Russia and how you got into what you're doing now.
Yes, originally I'm from Moscow, Russia. I've graduated from Plekhanov University of Economics. It's one of the top 5 finance and economic universities at the former USSR. And at the time, I understand that I want to be an investment banker, entrepreneur in the future. And I started CFA courses in the 4th course of the university. And I tried to work in several financial institutions, in bank and insurance company. But I understand that my future belongs to deals and M&A. And after my graduation, I started my first place of the work in Allianz Insurance Group. It's a German insurance company where I was in charge of strategy and investments in with the fixed income instruments. And it was a international experience, and I was excited of being in the part of the big financial group.
Tell us about Moscow. How is Moscow different to maybe the rest? I've never been before, but I'd love to visit. How does it compare to the rest of Russia?
Yeah, it's really different in terms of Moscow. It's like a small separate country.
Really?
Because it's quite big, right. 15 million people, and it increased in terms of GDP and real estate. And it's a European side of the Russia. So other side of the Russia, it's small regions where people live in different way. But I understand that Russia has its own power of these regions, because they could grow in the future on the very highest rates. Actually, in that time where I worked in these companies, life in Moscow was very good, because it was a golden year for Russia when oil and gas prices were high. A lot of investments were in companies in the country, and the country were open to cooperation with the world.
Got you.
And it was really brilliant to have internships in international companies and participate in some European businesses.
Right. I think I've got a long way until I start looking at those numbers, Leo. Yes. But we'll definitely need to have a chat after this, so you can give me some tips on definitely how to start my own coin.
Yes.
But thank you for making it down, buddy.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for making it down to the Winners Show. Really liked your experience. You've got way more than your credentials are far more impressive than myself, and I'd love to just for you to tell us a bit more about what it is that you do at the moment, kind of take it back to kind of how you started, please.
Well, I'm probably twice your age, which give me double the credentials, but other than that, I think you've got your own place in the world. Look, I'm still a young man of 53. I've had the blessing and good fortune of being in multiple different types of logistics industries throughout my career, which has been amazing, because I've been able to kind of touch on different areas of business and become really immersed and specialized in certain areas of business within the logistics framework. What happens to a lot of people is they end up in one career line and they become specialized, and that's great, and it has its place and it's perfect. I'm just fortunate to be able to spread my wings a little bit. So I started my career back in South Africa and had the most amazing sort of start to career. So came out of military, went into the restaurant trade for a while, did my usual waitering while I'm trying to find a job, get on my feet, etc. And one of my customers liked the way I engaged with him. So he offered me a job, and the job was as a sales representative.
That's important. It's because it's not all about, you know, KPI. Very few people, including myself, you know, definitely admit this. In the beginning, there was very much, you know, we need to get this done. We need to make these this many phone calls, and then we hit that target. It's like, okay, on to the next. It's very important. I'm learning for morale, for a bunch of other things, to say, do you know what? Yes, we did well for that particular thing. Let's move on to the next. So after you started on a grassroots level, you progressed up. What was next for you?
So I moved through a couple of companies in South Africa, mostly again in the trucking industry, doing a lot of cross-border operations as well. And I'd managed to build myself up into a country manager position with one of the organizations. Spent about 8 years with them, learning a tremendous amount. Family business, so very personal, very cliquey, but successful. And then I was approached by a chap that worked for FedEx, and they encouraged me to join them. So that was a nice experience because it was an entirely different area of logistics, entirely different area of thinking. And if you look at, you know, FedEx's people policy, they call it PSP, so people, service, profit. It's all about people creating the right kind of environment, the right kind of customer experience, and that in itself translates back into profit for organization. And that's just a continuous improvement cycle.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful. We'll need a part 2. Fred, thank you so much for your time.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for yours.
Fantastic. Vincent, Mr. V Champagne in the house. How are you doing, sir? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. It's good. Thank you for having me on the podcast, and, you know, just here today to talk about wealth, help people, a bit about myself. So Vincent, V Champagne on social media. So I started off as a corporate lawyer, and then I worked in private wealth, and then from private wealth I became a private investor, and then now I'm building an institution called Wealth University, which is out on the 14th of May 2023, launching, and it's helping people improve their relationship with money and wealth. So that's it today. And at the end of this discussion today, your listeners and your viewers at home, you would have learned something. So I want everybody to be fine.
100%. A bit of a different one today. I'm in London, not in Dubai. I came out. I had to kind of sweat the water out of my hair and all that stuff. I'm telling you one thing: in Dubai, you don't have to do that. Within 3 seconds outside, the water's evaporated. You're done. What do you think about the kind of the traditions as far as maybe, you know, the way you dress in the corporate world or whatever it is, or in let's say the working world? Are starting to change now, right? We're seeing a lot of that, especially in certain industries like tech, for example. And that is slowly migrating. I'll give you an example, right? When I worked at PwC all those years ago, I remember I spoke to a partner at the time, and he said to me, Sami, PwC's changed a lot from what it used to be just 5-10 years ago. What do you mean by that? He said, I would never be caught without a tie.
Of course.
That's what he told me. But at the time when I worked there, no one wore a tie. Everyone had a suit, had an open shirt, right? Unless it's a client meeting, you would see. In fact, in our office, we used to have like a section of just ties that used to just kind of hang. And he used to say to me, well, you would never see that before. Everyone would have a tie. And I said, well, why is that? He says, just attitudes are changing. And also some clients, if you go in with a suit, with a tie, it's almost like too formal. So you have to kind of be adaptable to the industry you're in. But what do you think about that? Maybe dress codes lessening, especially in certain industries?
Well, tech's different because tech has always, if you look at Steve Jobs and all of the tech guys, they dressed.
It's always been kind of casual.
They set the trend. That's tech. However, if I'm going to represent you in court and I'm coming I'll meet you and I'm wearing a wife beater, are you going to take me serious?
You did not just say that.
Or
what about what's his name? Who's
or Vest, sorry.
Who's the CEO of Goldman? Is it Lloyd Blankfein or something like that? What if he came in with a grey T-shirt like Mark Zuckerberg
But
next
he's Lloyd.
week?
But he's Lloyd. But he's. You think the difference is, he's the CEO.
So do you think he'll be trendsetting then? Do you think everyone else in Goldman Sachs will be coming in?
No. Because the thing is, he's a CEO. It doesn't matter. But you're trying to start. So I always say, people say, but Steve Jobs wore. But he's Steve Jobs. Are you Steve Jobs? I'm asking people. I'm asking the graduate. Are you Steve Jobs? What have you done? That's my point. So you're trying to. I always say you're trying to put your best foot forward. So I'm not trying to say we have an impression. When I was at work, I was a smart guy. Like, I was the smart guy. I had the best suits. I was just a guy. And clients would say that. And it's a program. Even when I dress down, I've already got an image that I'm the smart guy anyway. Yeah.
Vincent, great to have you here, buddy.
Thank you. Very intense conversation, but I had to do the real interview. I could do the thing, but like I say, I'm not bound to anyone. I'm going to do what I want. I'm a free agent, literally.
Great to have you on, man.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed the conversation. If you liked it, leave a like, share, comment, subscribe, leave a good review, good rating. And if there is someone else that you'd like me to have a chat with, let me know in the comments section. Again, don't forget to share this. That's how we're going to get the word out there. That's how we're going to build a community around what we're doing here. Follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, all kind of major platforms, and we'll be releasing every week. So stay tuned.